Hi everybody, welcome to Dunnock Studio in the heart of Norfolk, UK, and today we're going to be looking at autumn. This channel is here to help you learn to paint, but more than that, it's about having fun with paint, a brush and a bit of creativity. Whether you're just starting out or have some experience, you're in the right place. No question is ever a silly one here. I'm here to support you. With over 20 years of painting experience and a qualified adult learning tutor, I also run in-person workshops, so you'll be learning with someone who knows how to guide and encourage you. Go for a square format this time. This is a 25% recycled cotton watercolour paper. It's just a knot surface, a cold press surface, so it's got a little bit of texture. If you have got rough paper, I definitely advise you grab that and give that a go as well. Autumn suggests texture and decay and crumply, crunchy bits. So if your paper has texture, you can sometimes capture that even better. So I'm going to think about my composition, and you may have watched a previous video where we used leaves to print with, so we might be doing some of that. Let's have a look. I'm just going to lay these out. This one is beautiful but probably too big for what I'm doing here. So I'm just laying a couple of leaves out just to get a feel. So I feel like I need some diagonal movement here, where the leaves perhaps looking into each other like so, and a movement of something through the middle. We'll worry about that later. Let's have a little look. If we put the big one sort of print down here in that corner, so there's like a bit of movement through the picture. That will do, something along those lines. So as you can see, these leaves are not sitting flat. It's quite a tricky one to get them to sit. But I think I know that's how I'm going to do it. So we'll focus on the leaves for this painting. I'm now going to dampen all of this down, and I'm just using a big sponge because it's quicker. But you don't need a sponge, you can just use your big brush and just work over it. Go both directions. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm using a block here, which means this paper is gummed all the way around the four sides. So it's helping me to do a nice wet in wet picture without all the edges curling up. So I haven't got tape around this one. I could have done, could have had a frame around it. Now looking for a soft sheen, which potentially you just really can't see, but you might be able to see. It's quite wet at the moment. As it settles, you get some dribbles on the end. Just take those off. You don't want a great big puddle on the edges. But I'm not going to hold back too long. So picking up, thinking about the middle, just got to work out where I'm going to put my colours. So the first colour I'm going to put on is pure cadmium yellow. That's my lightest colour. I'm going to run that through the middle. As you can see, I'm not spending any time doing this. And I think we had an area where it flowed back this way, didn't we? So I've got sort of a light area here. Washing my brush out, although it doesn't matter too much because I'm going for similar colours. Let's pop some burnt sienna in various places. This is our first wash. I'm going to pick up some of my orange, which is my cadmium red and yellow mixed together. If that's not enough, just drop some cadmium red in. Oh, look at that. There we go. Now linking it all together, clean my brush first, pick up some of these yellows and greens. Now I'm putting the green next to the yellow on this side, so that will just make it a yellower green. On the other side, where it's near the orange, it will turn into muted greens and orange because red and green are opposites. That little blob there in the middle does not matter. In fact, we might have some more of those. If you're painting along with me, well done. So I'm splattering crimson now. Try and splatter the crimson over these red areas if you can. We're just making texture. None of this matters. Whatever happens on here does not matter. So I'm now going to tilt. You can see the paint running off the board. You can get some beautiful effects just by moving your paper in different directions. And I've got that run along the edge again, so just try and take that little edge off if you can. Okay, so let's see. I'm just going to have whilst that's setting, I'm just going to have a little think. I think she quickly said, because she thought very quickly, is to drop some more orange in this area. Because ideally this is autumnal, and I'm going to get my burnt sienna, I'm going to really go for it. This sort of painting is so much fun, because you're not doing a detailed drawing. In fact, you're not drawing at all. So it takes all the stress out of it. Just throw some paint around. It definitely helps having it on a block. But obviously you could have yours taped down to a board and do exactly the same thing. Now the way that my light is going, I'm just tilting the board in that direction as well. It's mixing a bit on that side. We've got some nice reds left here, and that helps to suggest what you would do next. So I'm now going to just pause and grab some cling film, otherwise known as food wrap. So previous video I did printing with leaves, but this one I'm going to just start off by laying the leaves into the wash I've just made. Trying to remember where I laid them earlier. So obviously if you're doing this technique you need slightly more leaves than if you're printing, because you can use a printed one several times. Then I'm going to lay some cling film over the top and just think about where I want that to go. So you can move it around once it's on there. This is why there's no point in worrying about how you put this paint on. And once I've got that on, there's some nice shapes here which are already suggesting more leaves. I don't know if you can see that. It's a little bit reflective, isn't it? So let's just take you down. Can you see those? That's why food wrap is so good for suggesting texture. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put, because these leaves are bouncing off already, I'm going to put a book on. I'm going to have to go and find a bigger book today. So let's see, whilst I was doing that, how this has come on. So I'm peeling off the cling film, which has left some interesting textures, nothing too amazing or strong. What about the leaves? Let's have a little look. Ooh, that's a nice one there. That one not quite so much. And a nice big one here. So yeah, a couple of those worked really well, a couple not so well. So I've got a huge amount of texture here, which is very nice to see, but not for everybody. So how would you create that into a picture? What would you do to create? Well, you could cheat for a start. You could get some smaller leaves. These are Japanese maple, and these were pressed in with cling film on top. But these ones we could try printing directly onto areas that haven't got much going on. And then we can pull out some of the other ones. We can also try directly printing perhaps with this small one, because it's a little bit more manageable than the big ones. So the first thing I'm going to do, decide what colour I want to print with, and I think we're going to go with the burnt sienna that I spent so long making out of gum arabic and pigment, that I feel like I deserve to give this one a go. So I'm just going to clear a little piece of my palette because I've got a muddy mess in that one. So burnt sienna, nice rich mix of homemade paint, and let's pop in the side of that. It's getting warm in here now because I've noticed that my paints are drying out a lot quicker. Let's pop some cadmium red into the side here. Need a little work at that a little bit. There we go. And then we're going to need some cadmium yellow. Oops, slightly contaminated. There we go. Look at the yellow push that red away. Can you see it? It's much stronger when you put it in a palette. It's really weird, and it's actually given some lovely effects there. So going to go in with this leaf and just give it a go. So if I put yellow on, it's going to not particularly leave much of a print because it's a pale colour. So for this one, I'm going to mix the red and the burnt sienna and try and coat the leaf. The yellow's just throwing itself in there, so that's fine. There we go. It's got a coated leaf that's got some veins. If you get to this point and you're terrified, that's fine. Just get yourself a piece of test paper. Here are my colours, and just print on the test paper and see what it's like. Sometimes it's the second print is the best one. There we go. So yes, I would always suggest a little piece of paper on the side so you can try and get your print as best you can. Now this leaf is behaving itself and keeping nice and flat, so I'm going to go for it. So I've got a big leaf shape here, I've got another large one there, and then we've got random shapes over here that didn't do too much. So I can just pick somewhere in the middle there. We're going to go where it's slightly lighter. Oops, I forgot to do a test one first. Never mind, that worked okay, didn't it? Then each time you do a print, it's just slightly vary the colour you put onto the print so you don't have identical colours every single time. Just think about adding just slightly different colours. I'll do a test print this time, and then straight over to where it's slightly pale because it will show up better. Ooh, that's my best one so far. So because we tend to work in threes rather than twos, I'm going to pick up my burnt sienna. This paint is slightly sticky. It's trying to make it almost difficult to put it on the leaf, because if you put it on wet, you don't get much of an effect. So I've got my large leaf there, my large leaf there, so let's have one coming out from that leaf. Like so. So it's underneath this big leaf here, which will pop out in a minute. So because I picked these lovely little maple leaves, let's give them a go. So I'm just going to, that's my red brush, make sure I get a different brush, pick up my blue, pick up my yellow, make a nice darkish green. This is quite wet, this paint, so it might be too wet. Now interestingly, this maple leaf is resisting the paint a lot more. Fascinating. So let's do a test print. What's that one going to do? Not as good, is it? It's giving me lines, not much else. But I'm going to go for it anyway and just see what happens. So let's see if I can put a bit of sticky colour. I'm going to cheat because I'm allowed. Put a little bit of sticky green on, straight off a pile of green. Try a test print. And then let's go for it. Let's pop that one in here. That's not too bad. It's not as good as the maple ones. This little Japanese maple is quite difficult to get a nice edge on. I've got a large leaf down here, so I'll just pick up a different one of these Let's just try something else. The edge of the leaf here, and see if I can just paint around it. Also bearing in mind I've got a leaf edge here. Sort of works, but not really any better than I could paint myself, to be honest, with a brush. So I'm just gonna, oops, carry on around that idea just a bit more. There we go, so we've got the rough shape like so. There's a big leaf here which you may not be able to see at the moment. I'm just going to make this one up. Oops, not quite right, is it? There we go. So when you've done a negative space like that, you soften away these edges, because you don't want these to have a hard edge, because that's exactly where you don't want to be looking. So we hit the next leaf, which is here, which we printed a second ago, then you can keep the hard edge. But for the rest of it, soften away. You can always add something later, but soften it away. I've just seen some sort of, I think that's the cling film shape here. So I'm just going to capture that one, just because it's there. It's about painting what you see. It's great fun. Just paint what you see. So I'm now going to pick up some the red, and over on the right I'm just adding a little bit of ultramarine blue to it, just to make a grey. And I'm just going to pick up this leaf here, which printed down in the bottom corner here, sort of around here. I've got another shape of a big, oh, I can see it now. There we go, there's the other one. It's a bit interesting doing this, because you're not quite sure what you're going to see next. If you see something and it's a shape, paint round it and then see what happens. If it doesn't work, it doesn't quite work, soften away. Get your trusty paper towel, dab to soften some of those harsh lines that are there. So I've got a leaf here, some sort of leaf here, a made up leaf down here. That's quite a hard edge here, so I'm going to just soften that away a little bit. Although there is a leaf in there, I'm going to merge those two shapes together slightly. It's all sort of make it up as you go along, really, because there's no right or wrong with this. I'm going to go back to my burnt sienna. So what have we got here? We've got a leaf shape here, and there's something going on down here which I'll incorporate. There's also one here. So again, I'm painting around that leaf, which is negative painting. Leave some gaps in the space behind. And then we've got one here. Leave a little gold edge on that one. I might just link that together, that side. This is sort of effect you use more softening than anything else, lifting out all sorts of things just to make it more interesting. So there's a harsh edge right along here which we don't want. Drag some of that colour into here, just to make it look a bit more like it's part of the background. I'm actually going to mix some crimson into there because it's a maple, isn't it? Japanese maples can have crimsony colours in them. Be careful not to get my leaves mixed up here. So we've got little leaf, we've got background shapes going on here. This edge needs to go. There we go. Take that over there. It's a little bit heavy, so back in with the towel. Right, so just going to turn this, see how it's looking. So now this edge here, which I sort of saw a shape, doesn't really work anymore. This one, there is a leaf here, so I'm going to do something slightly different on this one. Although we've printed it, I'm going to just dampen the whole thing with relatively clean water. Like so. Just checking from the side to make sure I've got water all over it. Don't rub too hard because you'll lift all the paint off. Then I'm going to mix up my crimson, which is just off shot there, just my crimson. Make a puddle of that next to this burnt sienna. And then we can just take a leaf, have a little look. And well, this one's even better, like lots of crimson popping in and out there. So just running that along some areas on the leaf that's already underneath, that we've already put on before. Try and follow the shapes of the leaf colours, just roughly. I've got a little bit more interest going on there. There's a big leaf here, so I quite like that effect, so let's do that again. Dampen this one. Slightly too small, this brush, isn't it? Decide where this one finishes. It doesn't have to be where the print went. Decide wherever you like. If you get stuck, check your real leaves for reference. So that's just all water. Oh, I can see it now, there he is. Then pick up some crimson. Pick up some red as well. Now this is already quite pink, so if I throw green on top of this, it's just going to go muddy. So sticking to the crimson and the red, get that all on. Got some nice rib shapes have popped through on there. Now I need to get a nice big puddle of yellow, because we can throw yellow on, and that's sort of running this. Oh, that's quite a lot. That's fine. Try and follow the way the leaf would grow. Let that one do its thing. Turn it round. Decide to have some yellow and strengthen this one. Soften that away up here. We've got a green one there that didn't quite work, but we can use it. So that was tiny little maple. Slightly different colour on this one. Just gives us a contrast. Lift off. pop some crimson in just for fun. That's going to dull with the green, but it just makes some more interesting colour going on there. So I've got a colour here and a leaf to go with it. So I'm just going to use that crimson quite boldly and use the edge of that to make the leaf more obvious. It's damp over here because we're going towards that one, so that's fine. This is wet on dry. Let's throw a little bit of green into that one as well. A bit of a muddy green, but that's fine. It's quite dark. So as you can see, it doesn't work quite as well as having the leaf damp to start with, so drop in some damp brushwork, bring all that together a little bit more. It's a great way of exploring your brush techniques, how you can control the water using your faithful paper towel to lift it out again. So that's not quite worked because it looks like there's a smaller leaf within there, which isn't quite what it's supposed to do. So let's try and merge them together. There we go. Bit of burnt sienna on there. And talking of that, let's drop that with some yellow. Bring out this one. Touch of green. And around we go. So you can pretty much get the idea, is just finding little spaces to drop colour, make a little bit more depth in areas. So just bring down the tone of this green here. That's better. Trying to make this leaf pop forward because it's about the same tone as it was before underneath, which is not right, so that's better. Duller, darker colour, therefore these pop forward. Let's do the same here. Let's pull out another leaf here. Along there. You get the idea. Layering up, softening off edges. It's a bit complicated if you've never done it before, but it's a really, really good technique to learn how to paint around objects as well as in them. Don't know what's going on here, so I'm just plopping some paint in to see what happens. Could suggest that there's more going on somewhere else. This isn't a proper painting, this is just a bit of fun. Get rid of that. Keep turning it and you'll see different things that you might want to pull out. Got a nice light area here, so don't really want to mess with that too much. Let's pop some crimson in. I can see some creases which are from the cling film. I don't know what they are, but I just feel like I should follow them with the brush and make something of them. That then brings out this leaf. Sort of nothing going on here, it's a bit hit and miss here, so we can make it up. This sort of painting would normally take you several days to create something, because you build it up slowly, go away, have a look at it, see what you can see in it, come back to it later. whereas this is just showing you the different techniques. Don't know what that is, but it's just become something. Okay. We've got a nice bit of, oops, wrong yellow, there we go. Last bit of my ultramarine blue. I've got something growing here, which can frame that one nicely and link up to there. Just mixing the colour slightly differently each time I go back in to fill my brush. Quite like that. Need to darken this area now. So I'm going to utilise the shape of that, and then create a stem like that. Pull that away. It's a bit similar to this one. So before we get any further over, switch to a different colour. Mix that in. And now going back to that burnt sienna and blue mix, which gives you that nicer dark. And then lose the light here because we're going off the page. We don't want light on the edge there. We don't really want this gold either. Why don't we want gold there? Because that's pulling your eye over somewhere that's not supposed to be interesting. So just trying to get rid of any interest on the corners. I feel like this painting should be this way around. That's just where it's sort of taken me. If you were looking at this, what would you do? What would you see that you'd missed? Or it doesn't matter if you've missed it and you just want to leave something. I could make an edge to this leaf here. This is a bit lost here, so I feel like I need to add a little bit of an easy print, which is going to be this lovely maple leaf again, but in a darker, duller colour. So it's just basically ultramarine and burnt sienna, or ultramarine and any orange. I'm just going to pop that in the corner here. Probably still got some on there, so let's go that way as well. Let's fill those spaces up. Let's grab that yellow. That's a nice greeny, olivey green mix. So if you're having bright colours as you are with autumnal scenes, you might want to just put in some subtle dull colours just to offset that. I've layered over the top of a leaf there, that's fine. Oh, I think I know. Just need to get some more ultramarine because I'm right out of it. There we go. So let's pick that up. Got a little bit too much water on the palette there. There we go. Nice greeny green, but not too bright. Ultramarine blue is a warm blue, and cadmium yellow is a warm yellow. Therefore, they're both slightly closer to red on the colour wheel, which means when you mix them together to make a green, you get a muted green, because that is red and green mutes itself out. Right, have a little break. So we've had a look at creating a leaf pattern effect and making some sort of picture out of it. It's quite fun to do that one. We've got all sorts of colours going on, and so I suggest you go to your garden, see what you can find, and have a go yourself. Thanks everybody for watching. If you'd like to make a comment below, ask any questions. What did you think about this exercise? Was it way too complicated? We can have a look at doing a simpler one. I've got an idea for a simple leaf print that might work a little bit better. If you'd like to drop a comment, like or subscribe, any of those things would be fantastic to help my channel grow. I know you're out there, I know some of you are watching and enjoying this, but it'd be lovely to hear from you because it feels quite lonely sometimes in Dunnock Studio. So drop me a comment, ask me a question, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks everybody, happy painting, bye for now.